traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. So let's go ahead and get started with the morning analysis, and let's get through all the majors. So we're going to start off with the euro dollar, obviously. So here's the euro, and I actually drew all over this on Friday, so I'm going to have to get rid of all this stuff. Let's remove that. Let's remove. Oops. Let's remove that. Okay. So here we are, and let's go over to the 4-hour chart. Now, this has been, I mean, just ridiculous dollar strength since the I laugh because so many. I'm laughing because there were so many dollar bears. When this, I mean, just right here, and people just proclaiming their bearishness of the dollar right as we hit new highs, and it just the reversal's been just nothing but crazy. And hold on real quick. Give me a second. Okay. All right. Now a few of you guys pay attention to the 88% fib level. I'm not a big fan of an 88% fib retracement, but that would come in about where we're at right now. What I am looking at, though, and I'm not a big fan of the 88% retracement. What I am a fan of, wait a second. Hold on really quick. Okay. Is we have 161% extension here, and if you follow harmonic patterns, this should be a bat pattern, because a bat is almost when you have an extension here, and this is basically equal or close to equal lengths. Oops. And then we have the 88% extension here. If that holds, and the 88% retracement and 161% extension of this last move, if that can hold, we should get a bounce here. Now, we'll see if that could be the case. I think 105 is going to be support. I can't really see the euro dollar breaking through 105 on a day like today. Okay. The reason why I say on a day like today is because, what the hell? I'm sorry. That's so stupid. Okay. I'm sorry. I was just referencing something else. One of the things I say, one of the reasons why I say I don't know if the euro dollar can hit new lows today is because there's no economic data really pushing the euro. However, we'll get a bounce here. I'm thinking we'll get a bounce here. I'm just assuming the bounce is going to be somewhat limited. So let's write down 105 as being good support. There's 161% extension, 105.10. Okay, and I mean, if you're going to trade the euro dollar on the long side, because I can see the reason why you would, just keep your stops below 105. All right, because 105.10 should be pretty key support today. All right. Now, any type of rally, I'm assuming is going to be capped, probably close to the 106 level. I mean, this has been a pretty steep. It's been a pretty steep descent, and we've got relative strength diverging. Okay, so we should get some sort of bounce here, and I guess bounce right back into the you see that little triangle breakdown, probably right into the 106 level. Seems doable, bounce back to here. Okay. Like Paul said earlier, I mean, and I agree with him here, the euro's too weak to be bought for me anyway, and but it's also moved too much. It's moved too much to be shorted. So I don't want to short it here. I don't know if I necessarily want to stand in the way. Now, Mirko said something that the dollar and the stock market have an inverse, or they have an inverse relationship. Listen, there really is there's no real relationship right now between the dollar and equities. Not a good one, because frankly, it's been a one-way market. When it's a one-way market with risk flows, it's hard to draw any type of conclusion on correlations. It really is. So to sit here and say, oh, the dollar is really well correlated one direction or the other, it's bogus, because we've only had one-way markets. But what I will tell you is this, okay? And excuse my language before I say this. So if you got kids, just go ahead and put them on earmuffs. And if you get offended by bad language, just stick your fingers in your ears for a second. When the shit hits the fan, where are you going to turn? Go ahead and just ask yourself that question. The shit hits the fan. What am I going to buy? You tell me. Tell me. What are you going to buy? What, are you going to go buy the cable? You're going to go buy some Aussie dollars? You're going to buy some euros? No, when the crap hits the fan, you're going to buy dollars. And that's going to be the method of madness of anybody out there that is an asset manager. Period, end of story. When you look around and you go, well, what is my best option right now? In a risk off scenario, it's going to be buying the dollars, or buying the dollar, excuse me. But we haven't seen any type of risk aversion in the market to draw a conclusion that it is the case. But if you just think about it for a moment, and I mean, maybe the yen, I'm hoping the yen becomes in vogue. I really do. I mean, because I own yen. That's really my heaviest and most aggressive position right now, is buying yen. So I'd be happy if that was the case, but we don't know if that's going to be the case. Okay, we just don't. So anyway, again, if the market gets a little hairy, what are you going to buy? Just ask yourself that question as an asset manager, not as a trader, not as somebody who's really, you're chipping around with a $10,000 account or a $300,000 account. Your attitude, or your opinion as that type of trader really doesn't matter. Mine either. Okay. Fitting in that category. Okay. But if you're an asset manager and you're managing, a few $100 million, you have to ask yourself, what are you going to do? Like I said, if I was in that category, which I'm not, but if I was, I'd go to dollars, So anyway, let's go take a look at the cable. Here's the pound dollar. So I just saw an update on some of the election polls, which still doesn't, kind of confuse me a little bit. But here's the channel that's kind of kept us out of trouble. Okay, we've hit new lows in the pound. Okay, we've hit new lows in the pound. Marginal today. Chasing the cable down here. Yeah, I don't know about that. At the same time, do I want to buy the pound? Well, I mean, you could. I wouldn't risk. It's like the euro dollar. If you go to short dollars today, which might be the right trade, If you go to short dollars, just don't risk past today's lows. Like in the euro, put your stops below 105 if you're buying the euro. If you're buying the cable, put your stops below today's lows. Today's lows, I'm assuming, are going to be pretty important. Um, that low comes in at 145.65. Okay. And hold on one second. $145.65. So resistance. Hold on one second. Well, obviously key resistance coming in at 146.70, but 146.40 also happens to be the previous support from over here. Okay. And if we're following this little hourly channel lower, then that means that's where the resistance is. So 146.40. So if you're getting long the cable down here, that's probably going to be your best bet as far as knowing that you're somewhat in the clear. Whoops. I mean, we hit a new range low, so for right now it is bearish. Let's go over to the Swissy. Swissy, hell of a run. We are in the middle right now of our double bottom. That extends us to above parity. We are like, look at this 4-hour candle. That's a bit of a reversal candle. So, this suggests that we're probably going to come down a little bit, especially after doing a little false breakout here. I don't know where this came from. So this is going to be major support, basically, because you can see that trend line support is going to come through, and that's all going to come in at 97. Let's just call it 97.75, because that's 73. That low right there is 77, so 97.75. 97.75. That's going to be key support. It's trendline support. Okay, it's trendline support. It will be trendline support. Its breakout point was at 97.55. So if we get a reversal here, which looks like it may be the case with the 4-hour chart, just let it come down and then be a buyer on a dip. Okay. Obviously, if it breaks today's highs, you know you're wrong if you're shorting it. 98.60. We're still in a range environment here. Let's go to the dollar yen. So the dollar yen is just getting a natural lift from just from the dollar being strong across the board. But if you look at all the other yen pairs, the New Zealand yen is getting hit really hard. By the way, Jared, sorry, Jared. I still, I'm tired this morning. Jared from our chat room, he called a great short, well, at these levels, and he's like, I'm going to short a little here, and then I'm going to short some at new highs. What a great reversal. Great job, Jared. Um, Euro yen getting destroyed. Okay. New trend lows. Brief, but new trend lows. Canadian yen's in its channel. Aussie yen rolling over out of the ascending wedge. Very nice. Okay, as expected. Um, yeah, my Aussie yen, I'm short. I'm positive now again. Um, but I mean, you see all these moves, and so when you go to the dollar yen, you go, okay, well, the dollar yen's up a little bit, but it's just up in sympathy with the dollar being strong. So as the dollar pulls back, as the euro bounces a little bit, the dollar yen brief new highs, and Ziggy, good trade today. Ziggy shorted it today at the highs. Good job, Zigmeister. So range 127% extension, brief new high. So today's high at 120.83 is going to be resistance. Let's just call it 120.80. Support will be right here at 120.45. Actually, we'll call it this high right here. Yeah, actually that is it. Because you can even see the overnight spike. You see this? Very important level right through here. Because you can see there, 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 overnight. Okay. 120.35. That is critical. Okay. So if that breaks, it's going to have all sorts of problems. Which would be great. I'd be happy if that happened. We are in a range environment still here. All right, let's go over to the Canadian. Dollar Canadian. Let's get over to it. Oops, where am I going? What am I thinking right now? Here's the dollar Canadian. Friday's jobs report. We've clawed our way all the way back. Obviously, that spike high is going to be very problematic. It's at 126.65. We're in a range. I picked up the dollar Canadian on Friday. Long. I got out of it already, though. I'm not in it right now. I got out of it on Friday. I bought it at 125.89, and I sold it on that spike above 126 on the Lunch Money webinar. I bought it here. I sold it here. I hadn't been watching it at all since then. Why is that support? I have to find out why. Oh, that would be the reason why. Well then, now we know. It's a 38% retracement. That comes in at 125.60. That was that. Forget that red bar, because that red bar is Friday afternoon. At the end of the day, you know, the bid just dropped. So 125.60. Okay. Let's take a look at the Kiwi really quick. I'm going to do the Kiwi, and then we'll take a little bit of a break. Then I'll do the Aussie and the dollar index. So, and then we will look at those Nordic currencies, especially with the breakout of the Swedish krona. Here's the Kiwi. So, why do we draw that garlic pattern? We drew that out sometime last week. I just don't know why. I'm trying to think. Going back to last week. Okay. 74 cents is going to be really important support for the Kiwi. You know, the Kiwi's getting killed on the crosses too. I mean, look at the pound New Zealand. Look at that. Just, this right here was a Gartley pattern. Somebody else had tweeted out the chart, and I tweeted it out, retweeted it last week. I forget who did it, but I remember I was looking at it. So it tweeted me the chart, and I was like, oh yeah, perfect. So there's that. Here's the Euro New Zealand. The hell of a bounce back from that spike low, basically 200 pips after hitting new lows. So when you look at the Kiwi, you're like, 74 cents is going to be a really important support. So if you're buying the Kiwi for some reason, which, excuse me, I don't think it's a very smart decision, especially with the Chinese trade balance, and considering China is New Zealand's biggest trading partner, more so than Australia. You got to be careful of buying the Kiwi. 74 cents is very important support. If that breaks, then 73 cents seems like more likely. Possibility. Okay. Now any move back up to 74.80, we'll find sellers, probably myself included. All right, guys, I'm going to put you on hold for a few minutes. I'll be right back. When I come back, we'll do the Aussie and the dollar index, and like I said, some of the Nordic currencies, then I'll take your questions. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Happy Monday to you. If I sound a little tired, I am. I couldn't get to sleep last night, so I'll be back in a few moments, though. You know what's so funny is both Sanjeev and Nick, and I know everybody else is thinking it too. Everybody's like, "Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters!" And I must have said something about, "What are you gonna buy?" What are you gonna buy? You're gonna buy, you're gonna end up buying dollars, and during a period of risk aversion, and you guys are all joking around, and I know if Sanjeev, Sanjeev, you're in Florida, aren't you? And Nick is in Italy, and both of you guys are saying the same thing. That's funny. It's cracking me up. All right, let's go real quick. We're gonna go take a look at the Aussie. We're gonna get that on the bias chart, and obviously the Aussies in trouble today, or has been because of the Chinese trade balance numbers. A little bit problematic for the Aussie bulls. We popped out of the channel last night. Okay, remember, there's a lot of people thinking that the Aussie has bottomed. Lots, lots. Now, obviously, the Aussie has a lot of support down here. Again, like the euro dollar, if you're going to buy the euro, you put your stops below 105. Okay. If you're going to buy the Aussie, put your stops below 75 and a quarter. Bye, Fran. Take care. Just, if you're gonna take on those types of trades, just put in hard stops. Don't give it much wiggle. Same thing with the Aussie dollar. Now, I don't think that buying the Aussie is necessarily a smart thing to do right now. I say that because the fact of the matter is you've got these big moves against the Aussie and the Kiwi due to the Chinese trade balance numbers. So I think the Aussie rallies from here are going to be very limited. But like from an intraday perspective, if you want to take an Aussie long, fine. 75, what's the low here? 75.30, huge support. Huge. Okay. If we break through that, the Aussie's in a lot of trouble, like 71-cent trouble. Okay. Rally from here, these are going to be capped. 76 and a quarter. See, if we make it up here, I'm probably going to short the Aussie. That's when you start hearing the FX gods. I'm too tired to sing the FX gods this morning, but you guys know what they sound like. Okay. And that's going to be at 76 and a quarter. In fact, I might even put an order in right now. Excuse me, I'm gonna get over to my other computer over here. Let's see, 76 and a quarter. So that's 50 pips from here. If we get an opportunity, I'm going to sell some should we get up there at 76 and a quarter. And same thing with the Kiwi. If we get up towards 74.80, I'm going to have to short some Kiwi dollar as well. I'm just putting in some open orders, hoping they get triggered. Because I want to be there for those. Okay, let's take a look at the dollar index. So here we are on the dollar. Let's oops. Okay, so obviously 100 is going to be problematic for the dollar index. I mean, it's 100 for crying out loud. It's a big number. Okay, that's going to be today's resistance. No if and or buts about it. This is going to be from yesterday or Friday rather, but that's also going to be very key. Let's go over to an hourly. You can see it all here. 100 support, major supports at 99.20. We're in a range environment. Okay. All right. Let's go over to the Nordic currencies too, and I guess we'll flip over to the peso. I think who asked? Andy said, "Thank the Lord, no FX gods tune today." Yeah, I'm too tired to do that. You're lucky. You got lucky today. Just consider yourself lucky. I think. Who asked me to take a look at what the peso did the last few days? Oh, Patrick. Look at the last 3 days of the peso. Yeah, I mean, what a rip up from the Gartley pattern that we had. Remember, right here, I said, if you guys want to get long, we hit new lows and we started bouncing. Remember that at 1484. A couple of you guys were targeting 1503. Obviously, we went a little crazy here. Went all the way to 1530. So this is, let's delete everything here. We can delete it all now. And I guess what's really important about this is, for those of you trading the peso, which I don't, but that's really key resistance right there. 1535. So if you're going to short the peso, that's where you do it. You know, you short the peso with stops above whatever those highs are right there. You know, 1535, right? I mean, that's a pretty easy trade as far as I'm concerned, because it's very manageable risk. Because you break above that, and next thing you know, it's gonna just rip higher, and that comes in at 1535. Yeah, 1535. Okay, nice little reversal candle there. I'm not going to put it out on the T chart or the bias chart, but you guys get the drift. So here's the US dollar Norwegian krona. That hasn't broken out yet. Okay. US dollar Swedish krona. Now, Paulie asked, well, what's the fundamental reason behind the US dollar Swedish krona? Why did I, look at the US dollar Swedish krona, and why do I look at it as a leader? There's no like, fundamental reason. It's more of a something that I, as a trader, have realized over the years, is that you have to respect the price action of the US dollar Swedish krona. If I'm like, for example, if I bought the euro dollar earlier this morning, which I didn't, I'm not playing the dollar at the moment, minus the dollar yen. Obviously, I'm short the dollar yen, but if I was playing the dollar and I was long the euro dollar, this is a perfect candle of what I'd want to see. I want to make another. I want to make sure that it is following what I'm, following what I'm doing. So in this case, we got a nice, shooting star reversal candle, and that is complementing me being long the euro or short the dollar at this moment. Okay. So as long as the US dollar Swedish krona is complementing what I'm doing, it gives me confidence. When you see it diverge from what you're doing, that's when it becomes a problem. It tends to be more of a leader. It has a leadership type of qualities, especially when there's no economic data moving it. Like today is a good example. There is no economic data pushing the US dollar Swedish krona today. It's just up, 1,000 pips on its own accord. Okay. All right. Let's hold on one second here. Oh, we're in between fibs there. You see, we're hitting new trend highs now. If we close the day, like an inverted hammer. I would think that would be a great short on the US dollar Swedish krona if that's the case. Okay. All right, guys, here's your bias chart. Now I'm going to go back and see if I can take some questions from earlier.